Hey Vespa fam, this is Liz, the Vespa mom, and I was just learning, apparently, if you buy a two-wheeled vehicle in your 40s, it must mean you're having a midlife crisis. Gotta say though, if this is a midlife crisis, it's like the best crisis ever. However, it kind of got me thinking about midlife that kind of draws people towards perhaps the two-wheeled lifestyle. So I have some thoughts on the matter, and it's a beautiful day, and I have some rather mundane errands to run. And how do you make mundane errands more of an adventure? You do it on your Vespa, of course. So I'm going to talk a little bit about this idea of a midlife crisis and why I actually think midlife is the best time, for many reasons, to jump into the scooter life. So thanks for watching. I hope you enjoy it.
So this is the question I want to pose. What if getting a Vespa or motorcycle or whatever it is you desire in your 40s, middle age, really isn't a matter of a crisis at all? What if it's just logical timing? So today I want to share with you why I waited till I was in my 40s to get a Vespa and why it was actually a really good decision for me and why it might be a good decision for you too. Hopefully this is helpful as you're considering. It's pretty common for people to have opinions and make comments, but you obviously have to examine yourself and determine what's going on inside your mind and your heart as you're making any decision, whether it be buying a Vespa or really anything else. So here's the first reason why the timing just made sense. You only need one seat for one person to go somewhere. So I have raised my kids. I don't have to be in carpool lines. I don't have to shuttle them to different sporting events and church events and social events, birthday parties. That era of my life was wonderful and I loved it, but it's past. And had I gotten a Vespa earlier, I don't know that I would have been able to ride it very often, because most of the time when I was in the car, I was in the car with one of my kids or two of my kids or my whole family. So clearly it didn't make sense to do it then. However, now my kids are grown, they're driving, they have their own cars, they get to where they want to go, and they don't really need me. So when I go someplace, 90% of the time it's just me. And I live a pretty normal life. I go to pretty normal places. I thought to myself, how do I make my normal life more exciting, more extraordinary? And of course, that's why it just makes sense for me to get a Vespa in my 40s. So that's the first thing. You only need one seat for one person to go somewhere. Reason number 2 is related. So midlife is also a season for me that I have a lot more freedom and flexibility with my time. I can kind of set my own schedule in many ways. And because of that, I have the time to enjoy something new and to travel a bit and to try out new things. So I didn't have that time before. I homeschooled both my kids all the way up through high school. I loved it. I would not trade it for anything. I adore my children. So excited for what God is doing in their lives. So that was worth it. But this little interest of mine in Vespas really just laid dormant for those years. And I didn't think about it very much because I didn't honestly have time to think about it. But now that stage has passed and I'm not homeschooling my kids anymore and my time is not taken up with that, I'm able to pursue some things that I've kind of always been interested in, but they had to be set aside. So becoming a Vespa owner and rider was one of those things. So that's another reason. Like, to me, it just makes sense. I could not have done this before, but now I can. So I decided to go for it. I don't think either of these reasons constitute any kind of crisis at this point. I just don't. So another thing that I was thinking about is just aging well. What does it look like to age well? When you think of people that you know who are older than you, and who really seem joyful, seem to kind of love life in general, what do they have in common? And I think one of the things they have in common is that they continue to pursue things and to try new things. And I want to age well. I want to learn new skills and never feel like I'm too old to do those kinds of things. I want to do these things as long as I can. So picking up a new interest at this age also is just logical timing. It just seems to make sense because I have the ability to do it, and I also just think it's a way to thrive in life, to learn new things, try new things, and just have the new experiences. So I want to age well. That's also important to me. Finally, I'm also at a stage of life where I don't need to be in much of a hurry. Where things stand right now, I really don't have to rush. So I can take scenic routes and back roads, getting where I need to go. I can avoid the interstate. I can travel at a time where the traffic is not as bad. And I can just take my time and enjoy the ride. There were many years that I felt like I was rushed most of the time. And that, again, is an area of my life that's just not true anymore. So I have the luxury of being able to slow down and take things in and be more in the moment, be a little less distracted. So being able to slow down is a great blessing at this stage of life, and also fits really well with the scooter lifestyle. So as far as I'm concerned, none of these things constitute a crisis. It's just a stage. It's a different life stage that has its challenges and joys. And I want to take in everything good about this stage. Everything. Is it possible that you're considering getting a scooter or motorcycle because you're having a midlife crisis? Yes. I think there's probably some questions that you can ask yourself. Are you trying to relive your 20s? If you're just not going to be 20 again. Like, that time has passed. And honestly, when I think about how ridiculous I was in my 20s, I wouldn't want to go back anyway. I don't really have any interest in going back to my 20s. If you're trying to relive an era that you consider your like glory days, that's probably a sign of a midlife crisis, and it's just simply not going to work. It's not going to fill that desire. Instead, you need to decide that your glory days are right now. And whatever time of life you're in, you can thrive. You can live in a way that is generous to others, that glorifies the Lord, that you can enjoy good gifts that you've been given. So if you're trying to relive your 20s or capture your youth again, and you go this route, it could be a sign of a midlife crisis. Another thing is, you might think that getting a two-wheeled vehicle will make you happy. But the thing is, like, if you're not happy without one, you're really, truly not going to be happy with one. One of the blessings of middle age is you've learned some lessons over the years. And if there's one thing that I think proves true over and over again, it's that material things don't actually have lasting value in making you happy. They just don't. So if you're trying to relive your youth, if you think it'll make you happy, if you're unhappy and you think it'll make you happy, those are signs that maybe there is more of a midlife crisis. And it might be a mistake. It might be a mistake to go down that route. And I think also, along those lines, I don't think you should get a scooter because you're bored. Because, again, I used to tell my kids when they were young that boredom was a choice. There are always things to enjoy and to do. And if you're trying to fill some kind of boredom void in your life, again, a toy, some kind of pastime like this, it's probably not going to solve the problem in any meaningful way. So boredom is probably a sign of something more than just, I want a scooter and I don't have one. So those are my thoughts. It's possible that you could be having a midlife crisis. However, I think it's quite possible that it just makes sense for the time of life that you're in. It's something that you can enjoy in whatever stage of life. If you can honestly say that, then I don't see any reason not to go for it. So you can let the critics say what they want about a midlife crisis as they drive away encased in their boring cars. They can think whatever they want. Instead, I really consider it kind of midlife clarity resulting in a midlife celebration. I am celebrating the fact that my kids have been raised and are launching off into the world. I am celebrating this next stage where it's back to just me and my husband in my house, and back to just the two of us like when we were first married. And there's something just beautiful and sweet about that, about getting that back. Celebrating the fact that we've worked hard for many years and we have more flexibility and freedom now than we used to. These are all reasons for joy and celebration. And so again, if this is a crisis, it's really the best crisis ever. And I will take a crisis like this any day. Those are my thoughts on the midlife crisis and the two-wheeled vehicle conversation. Want to know your thoughts. Has anyone ever accused you of having a midlife crisis? Did you ever consider doing something rash? You were hating the fact that you were getting older, you were trying to recapture something. You ever done anything like that? And how did it work out for you? I'd be curious about that as well. Perhaps you started riding when you were young and you've just always ridden, and that's very cool too. If you've been able to figure out how to have that as part of your life, that's awesome. So I'd love to hear your thoughts on the whole midlife crisis debate. Please comment below. Thank you so much for watching, and I'll see you next time.